In our lives, whether you are an entrepreneur or not, you're going to be faced with making very tough decisions. And what do we do when we have those tough decisions? We often weigh the pros and the cons. We talk to a lot of people. And that's exactly what happened to me back in 2013 when a hosting company reached out to me and wanted me to become the CEO of their company. In exchange for this, I would be offered a number of shares that, based on the estimated growth, would, after certain options were vested and I had a certain amount of vesting time, would have accounted for hundreds of millions of dollars coming my way. And of course, these opportunities came as a result of showing up online, demonstrating expertise, building a lot of relationships, those kinds of things. So potentially a 9-figure CEO of a company. Sounds amazing, right? The truth is, though, becoming CEO meant I had to change a lot of my lifestyle. I would have to move my entire family from San Diego to this location that wasn't anywhere near a beach. I would have had to show up in an office every single day, and I would have a team of thousands of people that I was responsible for. Some of that vision really excited me, and some of it scared me to death. So how did I decide whether or not to actually move forward and pursue this or not? The first thing that I did, which I'd recommend to you if you have a tough decision, is to start talking to people about this. Now, of course, you gotta be careful. If you take a very natural, organic approach and say something like, hey, I am in a big dilemma now. I have this huge opportunity and here's what's gonna happen, or here's what I have to do, then you can get some real reactions and potentially have people show you things or reveal things that you might not be able to see yourself. As I often say, it's hard to read the label when you're inside the bottle. So that's exactly what I did. In fact, what did this do? This confused me even more. On one side, you had people who were like, imagine what you could do with that money. Imagine how much better your lifestyle could be. And I had people on the other hand saying, well, this would completely upend a lot of the things and ties that you have to San Diego and family and your friends. Plus, you're gonna have a completely different kind of work. It's definitely gonna be the least passive thing you'll have ever done. So what should I do next? Well, I did the thought experiment that I'm about to teach to you that involves a DeLorean. No, I don't have a real DeLorean yet. And no, time travel doesn't actually exist yet. But I do have the ability to create a thought experiment that would allow me to understand what it might be like in the future if I were to go down one way or the other. But before I move on with this thought experiment, another thing that I attempted to do that didn't work, that I would recommend you try to do, is to negotiate. In many cases, and in most cases, there are going to be options in between, ways to negotiate with that decision that you're making. Want to become an entrepreneur? Well, maybe you don't quit your full-time job, but you start something on the side and wait till you get a certain amount before you then go full force with it. Unfortunately, in my conversations with this company, it just wouldn't have made sense for me to, still be an entrepreneur and live in San Diego, but then also be CEO of this company, and they weren't willing to move where I was either. Land everywhere else is so much cheaper. Anyway, here is the thought experiment that I ran, and the one that I would recommend that you do if you're coming across a tough decision too. This thought experiment is what I like to call the DeLorean thought process. So here's what you do. You make the decision to go one direction, option A or option B. And I'm gonna choose option A. So in this case, option A is, let's say, becoming CEO of this company, walking into an office 5, probably 7 days a week, managing this giant team and infrastructure, and also having this massive growth in my wealth in the value of this company that I now own, or at least own stock options for. So I'm 1 year into that future. I'm thinking about what my daily life is like. I wake up in the morning, I grab a cup of coffee, I go to the office, and I'm already putting out fires related to hosting companies and stuff. And trust me, I know that there are a ton sometimes that happens. I'm focusing on meetings with my managerial team and my directors to help make sure the different compartments of this business are working smoothly like they should. I also know that there's gonna be outages sometimes, so we need to get this backup generator, which did exist already. I made sure, because the problem I had with another company was that when the power went out, it didn't go so well. Anyway, there's so many things that seems to have to be taken care of in order to run that business. And then what happens? I come home at 6 or 7 at night. I'm likely thinking about that business and all the fires I had to put out and what I have to do the next day and what's on my calendar and the business trips that I have to take, the deals that I'm trying to make. And then what happens to my kids and my family? What's my wife April doing there? Maybe she starts telling me about the kids' days and what I missed. Maybe I missed a swimming lesson, or I missed maybe even their first steps. It's not really a life that I wanted to live. But then I started thinking, okay, well, hey, hey, we can go on these incredible vacations, right? We could rent out the most exquisite places and have the best food in the world because we'd actually be able to afford those kinds of things. I could drive, at the time I wanted an Audi R8. I could think about, especially because in the location we've been living in, just how much cheaper that land is, and we could grow on acres, a giant farm and all these other cool things. Like, my mind just started to go there. So you do that for 5 to 10 minutes. I started writing down all the little pros and cons of what life would be like, what my daily life would be like. How would I feel? Would I be happy? How much stress would I have? How much could I do that I couldn't do right now if I went down option A? Then I come back to today. And then I make the decision as if I am going down option B. And option B was to instead stay in San Diego, focus on my business here, and then what life would be like there. And fast forward 1 year from now. 1 year from when I'm making this decision, and everything's going the way it should. Everything is optimized there. And in both scenarios, things are working the way they should I go down that direction. And here I am in San Diego. I'm working on my business, and actually, I'm very happy. I'm able to see the kids and spend more time at home. And even though I'm not able to go on these exquisite, crazy vacations, guess what? We're still able to go and create these vacations and these experiences because that's what it's about. It's not about the luxury hotel we're in. It's about where we're at and that we can enjoy time together. And so it was at that moment that it became very clear that I'd much rather live a daily life in option B, which was staying put and being here in San Diego, which obviously I'm still here and things are working out really well, versus option A, where yes, I could have had way more money earlier in my life and done a lot more with that, but I might have left out and missed out on what was most important to me and my goals, which is family and building experiences with that family.